One of the questions I get asked most as I travel the country is, what fish do you fish for when there's no camera in the boat? The answer, crappie. I love to catch crappie. I heard somewhere that crappie fishermen live for the thump. That moment when that crappie sucks the bait in, you feel that tick on the end of your line, you set the hook, and he's on there. We're going to do that a lot on this week's episode from a fantastic crappie fishery. So glad you're with us this week. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hi everyone, I am more than excited about this week's episode for a couple of reasons. First, I get to go fishing in a gorgeous place. Look at all this beautiful landscaping and greenery in the background. This is Cypress Bend Resort. It's located in far western Louisiana near the border on Toledo Bend Reservoir. More on Toledo Bend in just a moment, but I want to show you this place. Beautiful setting, great patio, restaurant, bar, lodge. Right back there are the hotel rooms. Got a great hotel, but if you love to play golf, here's one of the golf greens right here. This golf course runs down through the rolling hills there, and in the background is Toledo Bend. Toledo Bend Reservoir is the largest freshwater body of water in either Texas or Louisiana, and it's loaded. Here's the second reason I'm happy to be here with my favorite freshwater game fish. We're going fishing this week for the wily crappie. We're going to be joined in the boat by Dustin Meir, who guides for them every day here with Fish On Guide Service. He puts out a bunch of big brush piles. They attract the crappie in, and we're going to go whack a bunch of them this week and keep some for a fish fry. He's going to show you how to put out some brush piles as well if you'd like to do it on your local lake. While we're out doing that, we're taking you around your local region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays right where you live. They'll have this week's upcoming fishing report, both fresh and saltwater. The next time you see me, I'll be out there in Toledo Bend in my NITRO Z20 with Dustin Meir. We'll be catching crappie. Right now, let's get it started back at the studio with your weekend planner.
These Solunar tables are showing fair game fish activity this weekend. The best times to be on the water are in the middle of the night or during the afternoon, starting around 2:13 on Saturday and 2:48 on Sunday. Expect the sun to rise at 6:54 and set at 8:12. Night fishing should be great with the full moon this weekend. We're coming right back with fishing updates from around the area, plus I'll return with Major League fishing angler and TV personality Mike Iaconelli. Stick with us.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland. The best in bass and crappie lures, heads to tails. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Request our free 2019 fishing guide at orangebeach.com.
Is this the way y'all grow them at Toledo Bend?
That's a Toledo Bend special.
Man, look at the size of that bad boy. One.
Got him?
Yep, that's a good pull.
Fish on.
Going under the boat. Ooh, good crappie. Good crappie right there.
Good deal.
Look at that. All right, that's a way to get it started right there. Holy cow. Is this the way y'all grow them at Toledo Bend?
That's a Toledo Bend special.
Man, look at the size of that bad boy. All right, everybody, welcome back. We've made it out on the boat, and as promised, we're out on Toledo Bend, 100,000 surface acres, biggest lake in Texas or Louisiana, I believe. We're gonna do some crappie fishing today, and step down here, Dustin, if you can. Dustin Meir's with us today. He guides on this lake all the time. They're all his little buddies out here fishing, and we're gonna put this fish in the live well. We're keeping fish today, but Dustin, we're out here doing something today that is really common over here. This is brush pile fishing.
Correct.
And the principle of this is that you've sunk these brush piles yourself. Give us kind of the lay of the land of what we're doing and why we're doing it this way.
Okay. What we've done is come out here, we've cut trees, loaded them on down with the boats. We bring them out here with jugs on the top, anchors or weights in the bottom of them. We come out here and we're sinking them on points, bends in the rivers, the creeks, some out in the middle of the lake on a hump. They go to these brush piles for feed. They go out there for security, getting the shade, and they just start feeding up really well. And they'll be out here for all throughout the summer till the water starts getting cold again.
This is a very labor intensive way to catch fish. These guys have to go cut all this brush and they come out and put it out here. You said you come out every 3 or 4 weeks and put new brush out?
About every 3 to 4 weeks we'll have to come out here and redo these piles.
Wow. But man, does it ever pay off. They guide here, they do this all the time. They bring their customers, sit them right on top of these brush piles. And is that the size you catch?
That's an average size. We'll get some bigger ones, but that's an average one right there.
That is ridiculous. That's a big old fat black crappie right there. Well, that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing today. We've got the perfect day to do it. The sun's breaking out of the clouds.
Yeah.
You want the sun.
You do want the sun. It helps pull them close to the trees.
Drives them tight to the brush. So the brighter the day, the tighter those fish get into the brush and the more you can pinpoint them. We're going to talk about how you pinpoint them, how you locate the brush, where you put the brush piles, what they're made out of. All that kind of information's coming your way. So hang in there. This one goes in the live well and we're going to get back to fishing. Way to go, buddy. That's a good start, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Oklahoma and Texas anglers can benefit from the good fishing at Lake Texoma right now. Great striper fishing early and late, some topwater activity going on, and then during the day you can go down with your live shad and or artificials and look for those suspended fish that are roaming out there in the open water areas, Main Lake. Good bass fishing at Texoma right now as well. Charles Jewell and tournament partner Jared Cochran had a really good outing recently at Texoma. Caught 20 bass or more in the 3 to 5 pound class. Caught them on top water and on crankbaits, Main Lake points. They were fishing a future bass team trails, finished second in that, 4 fish, weighed over 16 pounds. Tail race areas below the dams are starting to get really good now because they're fishable. The water flow has slowed at most of the dams. The water below, you've still got the current going on, which makes for really good fishing right below the dams. Catch a variety of species depending on what body of water that you're on. Interesting weather in August here in Oklahoma. Hot, cool, rain, dry, but you know what? It's Oklahoma and you can catch them, but you can't catch them if you don't go.
Bite. I got a bite. There's one. Pretty good fish. Yeah, there we go. And in the net he goes. All right, another one. Every one of these are just specimens. Look like they all got cut out of the same mold. There we go. Well, these suckers are just beautiful specimens. Hey, Dustin, we're gonna put this one. I'm so used to releasing fish, I'm about to throw them back in the water. My cameraman Frank was gonna kick me in the lake. If someone has never put out brush piles before and they don't really know how to do it, what are a couple of quick little tips you could give folks?
You want to be in about 20 foot of water, so you'll go find you about a 10-foot tree, like sweet gums or willow trees, work really well. You want to have the leaves on the trees, so usually in the spring, as soon as leaves start getting on the trees, you cut them. You want to use a good heavy weight, something 60 pounds or so for about a 10-foot tree. Tie the weight at the bottom, tie you an empty jug at the top of it so the tree will stand up, and you want to sink it down, you know, on your points and ridges.
And then how do you mark it so you can come back? Put a waypoint on it?
We use everything with a waypoint, GPS it, get your waypoint so you'll be able to come back to it and not have to have a jug sitting out in the water.
How long do you have to wait after you put the brush out before fish will actually come to it?
They've got on it as far as 12 hours later, they'll get on the pile.
Really?
Yes, you can start catching them the next day. You let it sit overnight, go back the next day and check it.
Man, fantastic. And how many fish on a guide trip, how many fish can you catch off of one pile?
Usually we can catch up to 20, sometimes up to 30 fish on a pile.
Really?
You get a feeding frenzy turned on and they really start eating.
Wow, amazing. So this can be a very, very productive way to fish. If you've never done it before, you may want to give it a shot. All right, fat one right there. That's a good fat one. Look at the size of that dude right there, Dustin.
That's a pretty fish.
Yep. There's one. Oh, that's a good pull. Good pull. Good crappie. Look at this.
Good fish.
Got him shaking his head in there. All right. Big fat one right there. That's a good fat one. Welcome back, everybody. We are coming to you today from Toledo Bend Reservoir, and we are catching some beautiful fat slab crappie like that. Look at the size of that dude right there, Dustin.
That's a pretty fish.
Yep. Well, so to get you again oriented as to kind of how we're going about this, we're fishing these man-made brush piles that Dustin himself, by his own sweat, blood, sweat, and tears, cut and put out. And what we'll do is we'll just get out here in this open water and idle around until we see the brush. Then we're throwing a marker buoy out to just orient us. We're really not so much marking the brush pile, but we're just giving ourselves a reference point so that we can move around. And the key to doing this, we found today, is finding the high spot on the brush pile. Why is that critical?
As the sun comes up, they start bunching up in there, and they'll get up. They want to be in that nice water column, so they'll get up in there, and they get to the top of the tree, and they can see the bait coming across, so they come out of that tree to go ahead and feed. So they're always feeding up.
That's one critical thing too. Crappie feed up, and here's why. If you look at this crappie, his eyes are on top of his head. They always look up. So if you bring a bait underneath a crappie, he won't typically nose down to try to see it and feed. But if you bring it across the top of his face, that's when they move up and snap it and bite it. So you always want to fish above crappie, and we're actually then using our Lowrance HDS Live to actually pinpoint the high spot on the brush. Then we're locking ourselves down with the trolling motor with the anchor feature on the XI5 trolling motor. It holds us dead in a little circle right on top of the brush. Then we're dropping the jigs vertically straight down, stopping them just on top of the brush pile, and then slowly moving them up and down. And that seems to be what's catching them. Yep. Big old fat crappie, big black one right there. That's what we came to Toledo Bend to do right there. Five me one time, buddy.
Good job.
You're breaking out in a sweat, man.
Yeah,
it's getting hot out here.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Outdoor Report on Louisiana. I tell you what, we're going to start off talking about False River on the freshwater side. Been getting lots of reports, catching them at night in between the boat docks, throwing spinner baits, buzz baits, plastic worms, 1/8 and 3/16 ounce sinkers, black blue worms best. During the daytime, of course, they're fishing the actual docks themselves. On the shady side, crankbaits and plastic worms seems to be doing the best. Saltwater fishing all along the Louisiana Gulf Coast right now. Fishing is fantastic, everything from offshore to inshore. But I did get a great report from Grand Isle, Louisiana. Lots of speckled trout showing up in the surf. Lots of people just going wading the beach, throwing soft plastics, doing really good on speckled trout in the surf on Grand Isle. Tell you what, Captain Kevin Broussard here at Cajun Paradise Charters saying happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you next week.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you once again by the good folks at Tejas Custom Boots. Now this week we're going to start on a couple of lakes that have had rough times over the past few years, starting with Toledo Creek down in South Texas. At one time under 40% full, Toledo Creek has come back to almost full pool, and the bass fishing is fantastic. Fish your shallows early in the morning with your topwater baits and your Senkos and spinner baits, but you're going to want to move offshore as soon as the sun hits the water. You'll be looking for deeper ledges and creek channels and things like that with your Carolina rigs, drop shots, and crankbaits. And another lake making a comeback is Lake Meredith. At one point, it was over 90% empty. Now it's only 46% empty. It's got a long way to go, but fish are already making a comeback. And it starts with the catfish. Bait a hole with soured grain, range cubes, or some type of chum, and give it about an hour. Come back and throw your prepared baits onto those catfish holes. That's been this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Tejas Custom Boots. Be sure and check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by MotorGuide's wireless and easy-to-use XI3. Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. Strike King, tie one on. NITRO Performance Fishing Boats, because champions aren't born, they're made.
That feels like a good pull. Yep, that's a good pull. Jumper. Jumper. There's one. That feels like a good pull.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's a good pull. Jumper. Jumper. There we go. All right. Hey everybody, we're still on Toledo Bend. Dustin Meir with us today. Fish on guide service and fishing this brush piles and catching another black crappie, another nice one right there. So Dustin, if you want to book a guide trip with you, I know you've got, what, a Facebook page? And
there's a Facebook page, Fish On TB, for Toledo Bend Guide Service. A lot of people book through the Facebook Messenger, or you can contact me. My number is 337-274-5577.
Okay. And do you find that most times of the year, either fishing shallow fish or fishing brush, can you usually get folks a lot of fish to take home? And is it a productive enough lake where it's a very reliable day in and day out?
Yeah, it is. They'll stay on these piles till late October. They start to leave.
Okay, so there's your window of time if you want to do this brush pile fishing. Not only here, but where you live is typically after the spawn, May, June, right through the first good hard cold front where the water temperature really starts dropping. That's your brush pile window to catch good ones like that, including here at Toledo Bend.
Hey folks, Captain Greg Verm here for this week's Fox Southwest Outdoors Report. Hey, let's start this week's report here in Galveston. We've had some very nice catches just this past week in West Galveston Bay, primarily Chocolate Bay and the bayous that feed into it. Tidal movement is key. Lots of flounder in the bayous and marshes feeding on small shad. Also, redfish and trout over oyster reefs. Hey, live croaker Carolina rig or live shrimp under a popping cork is working best. Hey, now let's move to Freeport and talk inshore. Hey, the hot spot lately is the Brazos River. Water clarity has finally improved and the river is holding some nice slot redfish, speckled trout, and flounder. Hey, now if you want to catch some big bull reds and sharks, move out to the mouth of the river into the beachfront and look for bait on your bottom machine and get ready to catch some big fish. Hey, remember, if you want to fish inshore or offshore, Galveston or Freeport, give me a call, check out our websites. I'm Captain Greg Verm. I'll see you next time.
Got it?
Yep.
Oops, around my line.
All right.
There we go. Oh, that's a decent fish.
Yeah.
Let me slip a net under him. There we go. And I'm gonna come around and get that out of the way. Okay. We are still catching them on Toledo Bend. There we go. And we're catching some nice ones like that. Dustin, let's talk about the tackle you use a little bit on these brush piles. I noticed that you're using little small, light jig heads. And a lot of people will use a big heavy jig head dropping down in these. What's your theory, what's your philosophy of using tiny little jig heads?
The smaller bait and that light weight, it'll just help it float along the top of the treetop. It doesn't fall in and get hung up as hard. Sometimes it'll just sit on top of the limbs and you can just lift it up and the fish react to that and they'll strike it a lot faster.
Yep. You got him?
Yep.
That a better one?
I believe so.
He's bending.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good crappie.
That's a good fish.
There we go. All right. All right, we got another one on. A little bit of a strange thing at Toledo Bend in that the limit is not the same as it is anywhere in Louisiana or Texas for that matter, right?
Correct. They've changed just for Toledo Bend since it's bordered by both states. Louisiana has 50 fish throughout the state you're allowed to catch per person. Only on Toledo Bend is 25 fish. Texas was always 25, but you had to have a 10-inch fish or larger, and they've done away with the size. So it's 25 fish across the board, no size limit.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and the follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free Waypoint TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Dalton wants to know, do you have any tips on keeping knots out of my spinning reel? To get the answer, we checked with Major League Fishing angler Mike Iaconelli.
The first one is when you're actually spooling the line on. You know, on a filler spool, most of them are just little round 300-yard spools. You always want the line coming off of that filler spool, coming off counterclockwise. because the spinning reel puts the line on clockwise. That's the first thing you want to do. Second thing is, I'm a big fan of some sort of silicone or line conditioner, and I'll spray that on a cloth, and as I'm bringing that line in, I let it run through that line conditioner. It takes a lot of the memory off of that.
Thank you, Mike. If you want some help from one of the pros, simply go to foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now it's time to find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
Back at the boat ramp at Cypress Bend Resort at Toledo Bend, and it's time right now for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. He is Brett Walker of Greenbrier, Arkansas, showing a 2.88 pound crappie he caught at Lake Dardanelle, Arkansas. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/foxsportsoutdoors. Go to our last Tuesday post, and it's there you'll find all the information you'll need to submit your big fish photo and a chance to have it shown on television. Next up on the gear segment, I want to show you 3 pieces of gear that I use when I'm crappie fishing. First of all, we caught nearly all the fish today on a Bobby Garland baby shad. You see the color there, it's kind of a chartreuse and blue color, rigged on a Bobby Garland Moglo jig head. Secondly, you always see me wearing my GLACIER gloves anytime you see me fishing out on the show. They're critical to helping me keep the sun, the UV rays that harm my skin, the water, and more importantly, the fish fins and fish gill plates from cutting my hands. They are absolutely fantastic. I wear them all the time, and you can check them out at the website address you see on your screen. And finally, I want to show you a little piece of gear that's super critical to all of the boats we use on the show. We use 3 different boats, and they all have the balls out brackets. They are the beefiest, sturdiest fish finder brackets on the market. You can see you can configure them in any way you'd like to. They come in lots of color combinations. They'll fit almost any piece of electronics that you can put on your boat. They'll take the pounding, the wind, the waves. The pros on the Pro Bass Tour use them, and I use them every time I'm out on the water. You can check out the balls out brackets, fish finder brackets, at the web address you see on your screen. I read something the other day that said, do what's right, not what's easy. Often those 2 things cannot be true at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. That can mean returning an item to the store, telling the truth, making a difficult phone call, or turning around to go back and help someone in need. Most of us have a built-in moral compass that tells us right from wrong. Doing the right thing, while not always rewarding right in the moment, later on brings a peace that's good for the soul. Maybe the most fun part of today's fishing was not what you saw on the show, but what happened in between the camera cuts. My buddy Frank, who runs the camera, got to fish a lot today. Between the 2 of us, he and I, we put together a 2-man 50 crappie limit. We got to take home a bunch of fillets. You can see a lot of these crappie laid out at the fish cleaning station. So, if you want to book a guide trip here, first of all, you can contact Dustin Meyer at the contact information you see on your screen. And if you want a great place to stay, Cypress Bend Resort is where we stayed on this trip. It is a gorgeous place, beautiful hotel, fantastic pool, great golf course, and the rooms overlook one of the greens of the golf course, great food at the restaurant, all the parking you need for your boat, everything you would need in one spot at Cypress Bend Resort. You can contact them for reservations at the information you see on your screen. I think you, and bring your family along, would enjoy a great trip here to Toledo Bend. Bring the entire family out. Dustin's got a pontoon boat. He can bring everybody out, and everybody can catch crappie. From Toledo Bend Reservoir on the Louisiana-Texas border, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.